गिनने पासी सिट वो हो आई दी on Eva Joy Nathan Ellis is correct.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What's for Today. My
Vanakkam,
name
vanakkam.
is my name is Zishan, and with me I have my two buddies, Mr. Sean Langford, aka Professor, and Mr. Rishi Nair, aka Rishi.
Yeah.
What is your
And
AK?
before,
I know why am I Rishi only. I don't like it a nice
you didn't
I
tell me
have a
your
good. I
nickname.
had a good AK.
what?
Mine is the professor. So I'm good AK. By
Oh,
the way,
I thought you meant you
funny
had
guys.
one for me. Okay.
Huh. Why? What do you want to be called, Rishi? I can do the intro again, or we can just continue with this.
Now we can keep this,
Anyhow, since
Okay.
talking,
that's fine. Continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what I can call Rishi. Anyways, whatever.
Yes.
So yeah. Today's topic is a very interesting one, something that we all binged in the past week, more or less, and it totally blew our minds. It's the comic book series Invincible, the TV adaptation of that. Basically, season one by Amazon Studios, Invincible. So for me, it was a very interesting first episode. I knew somewhere back of my mind because Sean had given a spoiler saying that it's going to get very violent. So till the first episode, till I think last 5 minutes, I was very confused, like where the story is going, because I didn't see any violence or anything. Like it just seemed like another teenage drama, superhero types TV show. And then what happened at the end of that episode totally blew our minds. Like my brother sitting right next to me, like, what's the point of this show? Like, why is it so highly acclaimed? Like, it doesn't make any sense. What's this about? And then the last 5 minutes, he's like, whoa, that was good. So, yeah. So, yeah, what are
I
your
mean, like,
thoughts since it just concluded, guys? What are your thoughts?
I just thought of a name for Dark Bone.
What?
Dark Moon, Moan.
Yeah, I mean,
Bone?
not
Oh,
Moon.
you meant bone, B-O-N-E. That's also not bad. But I bone in the
Because
dark.
dark. Yeah, because you have femur and you have humerus. So dark humerus, dark bone.
Yeah, you're disqualified from this problem from naming abilities.
I'm afraid of asking what he thought for me, but it's okay. We'll continue.
You will be
This
a
is not
dark mode.
taken by a legion of superheroes. Bouncing boy.
Yeah?
Point.
Your superhero name already taken by a legion of superhero. This thing character called Bouncing Boy.
Ooh.
He's actually a superhero,
In Invincible?
right?
No.
No. In a show called Legion of Superhero, it's a DC thing. It's like when Superman goes to the future and all that. Yeah,
I
it was-
see.
Anyway, so you were talking about the show Invincible. So the thing is, actually, for me, what I noticed was there are a lot of similarity with the. I mean, it's sort of linking, understanding the link between superheroes and what happens if superheroes go to a dark side, which is somewhat similar to the premise of what happens in The Boys TV show.
Yep.
Only difference is in watching The Boys. I think in the first couple of minutes itself, you understand as to why this is regulated R, because what happens in the first few scenes. In this, like what you said, Z, is like you don't really know where this is going. You understand that this is about a guy, kid who's waiting for superpowers and stuff like that, and then finally he gets it. Um, and then the last 5 minutes where things go into an ultra violent scenario, and you have like for a second you're wondering, is this the same show, or is this like um, what exactly is happening? Who is he? Is he a supervillain? Is he a superhero gone bad, or is the entire group supervillains? Or like, it's complete confusion till that point, because none of us, like none of the three of us have watched or read the comics to have a basic understanding of what's happening. Because when you see Batman, you think, okay, Batman and Joker, Joker's a villain there, Batman and Robin are partners. You don't expect them to end up in a fight. This is like you're in the same team and you have no idea what's happening. So overall, the entire show had a very nice tone to it. Like it just kept getting violent and more violent which is something I'll talk about later. So, Rishi, what's your take?
When I saw the episodes, for me, I think that last 5 minutes, I think it had gotten spoiled for me. I think on Facebook or somewhere. So that twist had gone for me. But even then, what I liked about the show was it was an amalgamation of both the Justice League cartoons and also the boys, because the artwork and everything just reminded you of those old school '90s cartoons, which
Hmm.
which were so well drawn.
Yeah.
And then the boys show, obviously, how dark it is. But one thing I liked in the whole show, was that even though it was a rated R show, it didn't have unnecessary amount of nudity or anything. I don't think there was any nudity in the whole show. It was basically
No.
rated R for the gore
Okay.
and the disturbing scenes. But which is
I
which
think language also to some extent.
yeah, okay, language also, it's understandable. But I don't like it when a show just wants to show unnecessary amount of nudity for which doesn't really enhance the show. Maybe for a shock value, yeah, but it's just fine. So that way I like the show.
Yeah, I think for shock value, this had enough and more to cover up the
Yeah,
shock value part of it.
yeah. uh, the characters were good. The characters were very nice, fun characters, very well fleshed out characters, which was something which you wouldn't expect in a show which had only 8 episodes.
Hmm.
8 episodes an hour each, but each episode was almost like a standalone episode, which was also good in its way. Standalone with its overarching plots, and you still don't know what was the motivation of some of the characters and why they're doing this. Because while you're seeing the show, even you would think a particular character might be a bad guy, and then near the end you realize he's actually a good guy who is just, due to circumstances, the character has to act that way. So for me, I enjoyed the show. I would obviously recommend it to any comic book fans, because it is a good show.
Here's my thing. So, like, if you're talking about the characters in there, so which is the most like complicated character you found, or like which is the favorite character from the show? Apart from like, I won't say Invincible is like a favorite character, but like which would you say would be the character that stands out for you?
For me, it was Invincible was not my favorite character. Uh, I actually liked Atom Eve. I liked. I found her motives to be good, and also I liked Omni Man. You meaning after the first episode, you didn't know what to
Mhm.
expect from him, and it was good how it went with his arc. Even
The story was good of
yeah,
this, yeah.
even the mother's character was pretty good. That was a good, it
Dynamic.
was
Yeah.
it was a good dynamic, and it was not as
Debbie.
if, yeah, Debbie's character was not such that she was a helpless character. She did her own
Hmm.
investigative research, and she was finding out what is going on. Because usually, wife of a superhero or whatever, she'll just play helpless, crying, screaming all the time. This was not like that. She was a powerful woman who did whatever she could within her means.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was more like the emotional glue, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, so like if you take her out of the equation,
Mhm.
Invincible, I mean, like Mark, in that basically becomes a lesser powered version of
Mhm.
Omni Man.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the fact of her existence in that particular dynamic, the emotional factor and the fact
Mhm.
that he calls Earth his home and all that,
Mhm.
that factor comes into play specifically because of Debian. That is actually seen towards, like in the finale also you see that, like,
Mhm.
that uh, when he's reminiscing as to, what it was, the small baseball scene that was there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So when Debbie explains to him as to how, having a child and the happiness of the child is the happiness of the parents and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So then that kind of makes Omni-Man pause for a second before, like, getting back to beating up this fellow. So that kind of, even though she didn't have much of an impact in terms of the physicality of the relationship, but it was more about the emotional impact she had for both characters.
Mhm.
And she's sort of badass, if you go to see. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah, she
every
stands
two
up to
minutes
him, and
she's
Omni
snapping.
Man is kind of like afraid, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. No, even
I'm
though
not afraid of for her half a time.
yeah, because even though he goes to claim that she was just a pet to him, it was not as if he treated her as a pet, because he was pretty much, he knew it. If he had thought of her as a pet or something, he could have killed her whenever he wanted. It was something like that. There was a genuine love or fear there.
There was, if you go to see, there were even certain moments also during the show where, for example, when she comes to know as to that he has killed
Mhm.
the Guardians of the Globe,
Mhm.
so you can see that he's pissed off and he can actually like
Yeah,
murder her on the spot.
yeah,
Like
on the
nothing is
spot.
stopping him.
No, but that is
Instantly, because he punches the wall and he moves, flies off.
no, but that's one more thing. He could have killed her. He could have killed the tailor.
Hmm.
The tailor had no reason to be alive till the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought he killed the tailor
Even I thought he killed him. But then when I see him in the end, I'm like, okay, so he didn't kill him. So that seems to show that Omni Man might have a, what do you say, a redemption arc maybe coming up, where he could try and be good or something. Which again, since we are not at the comics, we don't know. Maybe Sean, you might be knowing a little bit, but
I haven't read the comic, but I've seen those
videos.
know more about yeah,
mm,
yeah. So in that apparently he does have a redemption arc,
mm,
but like you mentioned in the show, that he Viltrumites.
mm,
That's what the
yeah,
race he comes from.
mm,
So they have a long-lasting lifespan.
mm,
So it takes a lot of years, but then then Atom Eve, Mark, they all come to like he basically comes to redemption arc when you come to know exactly why he's doing what he's doing,
mm.
and how he tries to help people towards the end and stuff. Not help Earth specifically, but help Mark and his friends.
Is the comics completed right now? Like, is it done or is it still ongoing?
It's completed. It's completed. I think it's completed. I think because they had a lot of volumes coming out, so I think it's done.
Hmm.
Last that I saw, I didn't read the comics again. Didn't read the comics, but as per what I read, I saw online. Apparently, the last one was where um, uh, this guy now Invincible. I mean, Mark becomes the head of the leader of the planet Viltrum,
Hmm.
and he has his kid who becomes the next Invincible. He has another kid which is born out of controversy. Uh, so that kid becomes a protector of Earth. So that kind of stuff. I think that is the end of it, I mean, unless they're going for a spin-off later on. So yeah. So you're saying that Debbie is also a major character to be like sort of a standout performance that she has. For me, Z, what do you which character did you like?
All the characters are pretty
Like
well
stand
written
out?
out. Like, I think even the evil agent, I forgot his name, like Cecil,
Cecil,
right?
yeah,
Cecil. Like
yeah,
He's
he
not
seemed
evil.
like a very, huh?
He's not evil though, is
yeah.
he?
But that,
He's not evil, but his methods are very like underhanded. Matlab, he has the better, what do you say, better interests of Earth, so to speak. But like
Mm-hmm.
his ways of going about it are very underhanded tactics. Like he tries to pit uh, Mark against Nolan, right? Like he's hoping that Mark does the right thing, and that eventually is what happens because his humanity kicks in, and then he is not fighting like not
But
fighting for Viltrum.
so I think where your point of being a little on the evil side is when that is when Mark is fighting alongside Omni Man. They
Hmm.
both of them are fighting that whole the kaiju, the big monster
Yeah,
in one of them.
yeah.
So he takes a decision of not helping Mark because it might end up helping Omni Man as well. So he doesn't mind
Exactly.
if
Yeah,
Mark gets killed in that particular action sequence. So
yeah. So that was very interesting tactic that he used there. And another thing, and that's probably a spoiler. And at the end, he kind of like, because I think episode 6, he's like, oh, this doctor guy, D.A. Sinclair, whoever's doing the weird experiments.
Mhm.
yeah,
Um, this guy repulses me and whatnot. He says, right, like in episode
mm,
7. But in the episode 8, we see that he's made an army for Cecil, so that
Hmm.
um, if
yeah.
there's
Basic,
ever a return of Omni Man, he has something up his sleeve to throw at him.
yeah. He's doing it for the greater good. That's what he sees.
Yeah, no,
He's
that's
doing
what I
it for,
said. Like,
yeah, for the
yeah,
lesser of the two evils.
yeah. So his
You
method
have
of execution probably is not right, but like he has the best interests of Earth at hand, I
He has
guess.
no other option if you
Yeah.
think about it. What else could he do?
no, but see, if the thing is what is the fact of the matter is in each comic universe, right? You do have one person like this. I mean, for Marvel, you have Nick Fury who does the same thing.
Mm,
He's underhanded tactics and everything, and you also have Amanda Waller in DC
DC.
who heads up the Suicide
In
Squad.
Yeah.
So the three of them, if you go to see, technically they're following that Machiavellian technique of that it's the ends that what
Justify the
define the
means.
odds. Just sorry,
No,
justify
and
the
to
ends
justify
that
the mean.
me, correct, ends justify the means.
Mhm.
So their ends, so to speak, basically is what protection of Earth, right? So like protection of humans specifically, not meta humans. Like basically the protection of humans. So in all the three cases, they don't mind killing the meta as long as the humans are safe, the good humans are safe by the definition. So then Caesar also goes through the same process of that I don't mind using DA Sinclair for making the reaniman because the reaniman basically beat the crap out of Mark as well as Omni-Man. And if they're able to hold on to Omniman for so long, I mean they're pretty strong then.
Yeah,
So that for me, I really liked this one, Exploding.
I didn't like him. I don't know why.
Rex, the character was supposed to be annoying. That's why he did a very good job at it. Detective Pimento.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Technical.
same voice actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is what? Jason something, right?
Uh,
Jason Mantzoukas. No,
Yeah,
Phil
yeah.
Mantzoukas. Yeah.
Jason
I
It's
can't
a
search
Greek
Matsukas.
because
name.
I'm searching all garbled
Matsukas.
stuff.
Matsukas.
Reverse order.
Jason Matsukas.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's
So
a
it's
very good
like
actor. He's a very good
he
actor,
is.
and
For me, the reason the thing is, I don't like the character itself. If you go to see to like throughout the series, he does have a good character arc because towards the end, he's the one who decides like we don't require that blood stain on the. So for context sake,
hmm,
for the listeners, so there is when the original Guardians of the Globe are killed by Omni Man, so there's a blood spatter on the wall. So like it's dried and that remains there. So when Cecil's team of those invisible officers, they keep coming, they clean the entire spot, but they leave that one blood spatter on the wall. So the reasoning for that, or for according to Cecil, is that to the new Guardians of the Globe is that you have to um, you know look at this and like this is basically a reminder for you as to you're filling in big shoes and you have a lot of responsibility and you can get killed at any point. And when like towards the end when they go out and they help so many people because of the fight between Omni-Man and Invincible, it hits him all of a sudden that they really don't matter because at any if Omni Man is beating the crap out of Invincible and there's nothing no one can do about it. Uh, they can just do crowd control and just damage control at that point. So then he's like, this is much bigger than we are, and then coming out and cleaning the blood spatter and then getting back into training and stuff. So that arc that was there, so from being an absolute douche and having an affair with duplicate, which is in a way all the more messed up because of what all he can potentially do uh, to being absolute like a jackass throughout the entire thing. But then when you see a fight between that, who's that guy with that he becomes a stone man or something, stone face stone man, voiced by the
uh,
Marshall Ali.
I have
Titan.
no
Titan.
title.
Titan. So
I
in
think
that
so, yeah.
fight also, if you go to uh, yeah, I guess so. Because if you go to see in that fight also, when this guy's overwhelmed by all these other people, it's this Rex guy who stands up and says, "Okay, you made a mistake by crossing us," and then he sort of basically pumps up everybody and
Yeah, he
gets back
rallies
into
them
it.
around.
Basically, yeah. So that's why I
Mm.
like that guy. Though he seems like a douche, but basically he's yeah, you're right. It's Titan. So though he seems to be like a douche, but he's good. No, I like
Robot.
Atomy also. Atomy that has Robot. I like why because he has very what do you call it? It's very complicated sort of mindset because he has a deformed body because of his brain and stuff and everything, and he wants a good body for himself because he likes a girl. It's very if you think about it, it's actually very pure intentions. He likes a girl. He can't be with her because he has no body as such. So he sees her looking at somebody or being attracted to somebody. So he goes for a body similar to that, which is Rex Floating's body, and uh, to the same, almost similar age as to that girl. So the girl in conversation over here is a beast girl,
Monster
if I'm
Girl.
correct, right?
Yeah.
Monster girl, monster girl,
Yeah,
sorry,
Monster.
monster
monster.
girl. So to be in relationship with her, he has someone in the same age range, and later on, once the this season gets over, but later on in the comics, if you actually the thing is that where uh, Rudy, this guy who is actually a robot, he becomes the villain because his intention is to keep Earth safe by any means necessary, which is basically what Iron Man does in Age of Ultron. Because that was his own thing, which he says, that the armor of suits around the Earth. This is basically what this robot does.
Cecil
Okay.
is also a very good boss because he knew his guys screwed up by not cleaning the stain on the wall. And instead of getting someone to clean, he just put an excuse over there that, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's for you guys to remember the fallen guys and, earn the right and clean it yourself. So, you should have a boss like Cecil.
Most of the bosses are like it anyway. They make a mistake. Like so, the bottom line is bosses are never wrong, right? So then any
Hmm.
mistake that you see them doing it, yes, yes, I was testing you to see whether you are
Yeah.
finding the mistake or not. So you can't blame them. What's your take on the technology that you see in the show? So the way that he's explaining that the tap water that the Americans are drinking, so then that has certain
Hmm.
chemicals which is basically keeping you from not seeing a particular spectrum of light, which is why they can hide a lot of things. Which so when he clearly states that this is not the only thing that we're hiding, so he's basically putting out there that we're hiding a lot of things from you, from the white to one another, and this is what it looks like. So then in that itself, you see a lot of technology. One of which is basically they're trying to
The
reanimate
Immortal. Yeah.
Immortal.
Who ironically dies twice in the show.
It's
Technically, if you go to see, he dies thrice because in the montage that they show of him,
Hmm.
right, he's Abraham Lincoln.
I remember that.
oh, I was thinking why there was
So in the
Abraham.
so by reanimating them, they show, so that's the thing. So majority, many of the comics, like what Rishi you mentioned, many of the characters are like based on those Marvel and DC
Mhm.
characters, right? Of which, when I saw when he said the name itself, Immortal, I was thinking, well, this guy doesn't seem to have anything much. The
Hmm.
thing, but like he's super strong and smart and stuff like that. And it kept me thinking like what exactly is super, because when you see that Wonder Woman sort of a duplicate, or you see the red, I think Red Thunder or something.
Red
So
Rush.
you see
Red Rush,
these
Red
characters.
Rush.
Red Rush, Red Rush, Red Rush. You see these characters and you're thinking like, okay fine, so I can see Superman, I mean I can see Wonder Woman, I can see Flash, I can see Green Lantern, I can see not Green
Martian
Lantern,
Manhunter.
yeah, Green Lantern, I can see Martian
Martian
Manhunter,
Manhunter.
yeah, and I can see
Mhm.
Aquaman also. So who's and even Batman,
Yeah.
which is not there in the original Guardians of the comic version of it,
Hmm.
apparently. So the question was, so who exactly is
Hmm.
Superman in this? Because Omni Man comes into play. So then that when Omni Man comes into play, and he's but basically the embodiment of
Hmm.
Superman. So what of this guy? Then when they showed him being
Hmm.
reanimated, there was a thing where he's standing in front of a blue light.
Yeah.
I think it was a comet. So there is a character in DC called Vandal
Yeah.
Savage.
Hmm.
So he basically has a similar,
Look also.
what do you call this, origin
Hmm.
story. Yeah, yeah, similar look also. He has a similar origin story also, wherein there's a comet that lands, and I think that was filled with antimetal or something. But the comet lands, and it was very warm. And this is in the those prehistoric days, when there's all like you have those, um, what are they called? The cavemen
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which era? I
Neanderthals.
forgot which era that was called.
Yeah.
Neanderthals. So he goes and he lies down over there, and then he gets the warmth and everything. But the entire night that he's sleeping over there, the comet's energy gets imbibed into the guy. He absorbs the entire energy. So basically, which makes him immortal and which makes him like super smart and super tall and stuff. So and then and super strong. So when he gets up the next day and he has enemies coming behind him and everything, so he ends up killing them. So he becomes the world's first killer. Not going according to the Bible standards, but he
Hmm.
becomes the world's first killer. So when you see that, and then you see the parallel of this guy, Immortal. So Immortal is basically the good version of this guy.
Hmm.
So where you see Vandal Savage, he becomes Attila the Hun. He becomes all those like those tyrants kind of a thing.
Mm.
This guy becomes all the good characters. You have what's his name, um, Abraham Lincoln, and he. I think they showed a few other people which I couldn't recognize among them, but
Mm.
he becomes a good side where this guy becomes a bad side. So that was a good split. Uh, so wait, there's one thing which was very interesting for me throughout the show, which was very dynamic, was the title
Title,
card.
yeah,
The what? Sorry.
the title
Title
card.
card.
Title. Oh yeah, the blood keeps splattering more and more on it. Yeah, as the episode progresses. It just
You
reminds
have
me of another show that I was watching that had a similar thing. Gradually, it got like oh yeah, WandaVision, right? Like gradually, it would like have like
it kept changing though, didn't it?
You
the
changed the
tone
whole
of
thing.
Wanda's tone kept changing in each and every episode. Previous episode of WandaVision. So it starts off very jolly, like previous episode of WandaVision, and then
Oh,
towards the end it gets like
Mm.
previous episode of WandaVision.
darker side. Okay, okay, okay. I didn't notice that.
Even I didn't notice that. Although by
I
second season of Invincible, I'm sure the whole title card will be black.
which yeah. So I think they're going for that, black and
Yeah.
red. So and that's one thing. Second thing is when the way that they introducing the name into the conversation. So like basically, you just the other stuff they just have the title card playing and then the thing starts off. So, like so one I can remember the recent one is that if Mark has to what if Mark is able
If
to,
if he has to beat Omni Man, he has to be invincible.
and then image title comes up. The
Yeah.
thing is with the reason why I like that part is because so when I'm making the video our episodes and our videos, right? So for me, I have like the title card already made and kept. So I just
Mm.
have to like combine it with the remaining of the video, and then it just makes my work easier. So for them
Mm.
to actually sit and then like make 8 separate title cards for these
Mm.
each individual episodes. Just imagine. I'm
Mm.
just thinking as to how much pain they actually took for each and every the graphics and animation for it. That just shows the dedication and commitment that each of these designers have for the show.
Was there any character you didn't like or you just found a bit annoying?
I didn't like Amber actually, to be very honest.
Same.
Yeah, I
Same.
think Zazie Beetz has been underutilized for this show.
Exactly. I felt she her reasoning was a bit stupid. Okay, why was she angry with Mark in the first place? First, she was angry with him that he wasn't there to save her or save them. And then when he's a superhero, she's like, I knew you were the superhero, but I'm still angry at you. I'm like, what logic
This,
is this?
this just reminds me of Batman ka like sorry that Pyar Ka Panchnama monologue that
Yeah.
she tells about Batman like oh I want like I don't want you, I want someone better, blah blah blah. And then when he becomes a superhero, he's like, I wanted a normal person.
हाँ.
Like
तुम तो बैटमैन
similar
बन गए.
You have that, but see, the thing is, the entire time she knew he's a superhero. She knew maybe her reasoning is that, okay, you lied to me, but then his reasoning is that I lied to you to keep you safe because those who
Yeah,
know they'll come after you. Even after
exactly.
explaining that, also, this she's like, no, no. So what exactly made you angry is the question mark. That's one thing. You actually,
Yeah,
to be honest, you yourself could have come out and said that I know who you are. Like for example, the best
yeah.
example in this is Far From Home, Spider-Man.
Mm.
So in that MJ upfront comes and tells, yeah, I know you're Spider-Man.
Yeah,
So that breaks the ice that like okay, fine. So so that's kind of quite have to lie to you anymore. So then
Mm.
that was a little ridiculous for me. And it's like high standards and stuff like oh I take care of I think homeless it is.
yeah. I was like, it was a bit too holier than thou feeling over
Yeah,
there from her. In fact, even in that episode, I had another gripe with it, which goes on to the end of the show. Is the guy who the friend loves? I forgot the guy's name. I think Chris, the
the
guy in
guy
the
who becomes
college.
the guy who becomes
Yeah,
an animal.
yeah, uh,
The
yeah. He's just discarded afterwards. There's no mention of him. What happened to him? If he goes to the hospital, like, has he
hmm, hmm, hmm,
recovered?
hmm.
Has the government, like? There's nothing over, and this guy also has moved on. He's also fine with it. I mean, you are seeing
Yeah,
a guy who you love be turned into a mindless zombie,
Rick,
and you're
Rick,
fine.
Rick.
Yeah,
I
and
mean
you're just all right afterwards.
To be fair, he didn't really love him. He just like, it's like a one very long distance kind of a hookup kind of thing. It's like he goes to the university to meet
Yeah,
this
but
guy.
even then, if it's a friend or
No,
something, you would still be concerned a bit, right? Like, is he all right?
exactly. Yeah, to
Yeah.
be fair, that's one thing. Second thing is like, as far as the story is concerned, you see a lot of reanimen after that.
Hmm.
Like in the middle of when that fight happens between when the second fight between Immortal and this fellow Omni Man
Hmm.
happens, you do have the reanimant coming back into the picture, but then in that you don't see
Yeah.
this guy ever again. Even in the last, when
Yeah.
that DS Sinclair is making new ones, even in that you don't see him. So that
Yeah,
begs the
but
question as to where he disappeared.
then they should tell something, right? Like at least in the montage near the end where they're showing what is happening to everyone else, they
Hmm.
could have showed something about him recovering or something happening over there,
Hmm.
so that you get an idea. But that was one of the loose ends, which was not, what do you say,
Wrapped up.
which was not resolved. Yeah.
Maybe it was not a memorable character. That's why, like, there's not
But he
much
made a big deal out
story
of it.
left for him.
You made a big deal out of it, and secondly, it was the third last episode. So again, you can't say it was not memorable. Like, you have brought up things. In fact, when the last montage came, I had completely forgotten about the Mars thing, where there was a shape
Hmm.
shifting alien. I had completely forgotten about that, but they brought
Oh yeah,
that up in
yeah.
the. They bring that up in the montage. They bring up about the Titan story.
So, wait, so my question to you guys is, according to you, who's who? I mean, as in like in terms of the characters, like so we have a lot of commonality between villains and I mean your Marvel and DC and stuff, right? In this,
Mm.
so according to you, who's who? Like for example, now in terms of storyline, you have a lot of similarity between Peter Parker and this fellow.
Mm.
Like you actually a combination
Mark.
of yeah, Mark, in the way that he behaves and stuff, like kiddish and
Mm.
because you have lot of teenage superheroes, but then Spider-Man will come the closest to this guy in terms of the whole
Mm.
betrayal arc and stuff like that. So then, who else do you like? Do you see any other characters that you know in this? Like obviously you're gonna go for the Golden Globe, the Guardians of the Globe,
I
right?
think we
So
can just ignore the Guardians because we know they are who they are. So just leave them to whatever they could be. Omni Man could be a darker Superman, the Dark Future Superman.
yeah, okay.
Then who else is there?
Monster
Uh,
Girl,
Monster
Robot,
Girl, I think is like sort of is what Hulk?
like Shazam. No, like Shazam and Hulk.
She-Hulk.
Yeah, a combination of Shazam and She-Hulk. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ant-Man is that other green girl. I forgot her name.
Shrinking Ray,
Uh,
I think.
Drinking. Pata
Yeah.
nahi.
Then there is the exploding guy could be one of the villains from Batman.
Uh,
Exploder.
Yeah, Rexplode. I think he looks a lot similar to. There's a character in X-Men, Jubilee. I think.
Jubilee. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, quite similar to her.
No, yeah, Jubilee. Yeah.
So she's quite okay. What about Duplicate?
Duplicate
Duplicate
is
is that multiple man.
yeah.
Multiplex.
Multiple
Yeah,
man. Like,
Multiplex also.
I do like the name though.
Duplicate.
Then no. Yeah, because the name is Kate. She is duplicate.
They have a good. Okay, so according to you, who's Atom Eve?
And,
Google.
not Supergirl, because the powers are different.
No, there's the other white.
A lot of white
No,
superheroes.
Jean Grey. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's Jean Grey.
Why? Because she's able to like make stuff out of nowhere, right? Like, isn't that Jean Grey's power?
No, Jean Grey is more of telekinesis.
No,
And
no,
mind reading
but
stuff.
like after she becomes the Phoenix, she can destroy stuff and build stuff, right? Isn't it?
At a base level, maybe, but then without the Phoenix Force, I don't think. But I would think more of like Doctor Manhattan from Watchmen,
Oh, Dr. Manhattan, yes.
because she basically has a similar set of powers where, like, yes, she is controlling atoms at a more what she's controlling matter at a subatomic level, but she can actually she's near immortal. I think she can't die. So when she reaches old age, her atoms reform to her younger self.
Oh,
Or if she is damaged, like as damaged, like not emotionally damaged, but physically damaged, like so like, she's beaten up and stuff like that. she can use her atoms to reform herself back again. So that is something. Even in one of the episodes, you see also that she's able to like uh, grow a plant completely, grow an entire farm altogether
Yeah.
when she runs away from home. So that is there. And who else do we have? Robot is work on it,
Robot
no?
Robot is
cyborg? No.
not
No,
cyborg.
I would think Cyborg is more like that. The Reaniman, I think.
Which one? The guy who loses his power.
No, that is what Doc Samson. Samson, apparently. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Black
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 Samson.
Samson.
Black Samson.
You're not
His
being
name is
racist. His
Black.
name is Black Samson.
No, no, no. His name is Black Samson, but he's
Hmm.
I think based on a character called Doc Samson
Oh,
from
I have no idea.
Marvel. He's
he
basically
was
Hulk's friend.
was Doc Samson white by any chance?
Yeah, with green hair,
No wonder. It's because
and his
he's
power
black. He
also
was not a doctor.
possibly. Okay, so yeah. So who's this thing then? Robot.
Robot. Actually, Robot reminded me of Crank from TMNT because of the whole how his body was in the before he mutated.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the tank, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then he would remind you, of Modok from Avengers.
Hmm.
So there's a full form of Modok. I forgot what it's called. Machine only designed something only killing or something like that it's called.
Hmm.
MODOK Modok. But because even he's the same thing, like giant head and like tiny robotic arms. But
Yeah.
I would think robot to be sort of like more of the robotic version of Brainiac
Hmm. Hmm.
because the way he moves
Hmm.
and the way he talks, and more of the character as such. His intellect is over his heart, his emotion. Like, it's like intellect over heart, emotions what he follows. So I mean, Brainiac is
Hmm.
what I would go
Hmm.
for. If that's the case, you wouldn't think of even. So
Hmm.
once he gets a human form, I would
Hmm.
think he's more like Iron Man in terms of handling the body. Wait, maybe Ultron.
Could be, yeah.
Alan the alien.
Alan,
Alan D.
he reminds me of. I don't know if you know about this character. He's there in Thor. Not the movie, in the comics, in the cartoon.
Oh,
Um, in fact, his face was there in the tower in Thor Ragnarok. I forgot his name. So actually, his hammer is called Stormbreaker. He has like a horse's face. Oh my god, what is his name?
Based on whatever I saw little of him, he reminded me of Korg in Thor in Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, Beta Ray Bill. That's what I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Beta Rebel. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
One of the champions from.
One of the champions.
Yeah.
So because Beta Ray Bill also is like he's an alien come from somewhere and then he gets into a fight with Thor and then Odin finds him
More
worthy enough
worthy.
to carry Meow
Hmm.
Meow. So
Meow meow.
so he says he
Meow,
can't
meow.
give.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
So since he can't give Meow Meow from Thor to somebody else, so he let Thor have the Meow Meow, and he gave Stormbreaker to Beta Ray Bill. So actually, the character who looks like Batman, right? The Dark Wing or Dark Horse or whatever his name is,
Hmm.
Dark Wing, I think. He
Dark Wing.
apparently, yeah, he actually in the comics was murdering villain. They don't show him as a hero in that. In fact, there are a lot of changes from the comics. Like lot means not like staggeringly lot, but sufficient enough. Because like in the end of the season, you see that one thing is you see that Amber, like what we discussed, she already knew about his secret, but in the comics, after his beatdown by Omni Man, he goes into this 2 week coma. During the 2 weeks coma, Amber comes to know that he's this one invincible. That's
Hmm.
also the time when William comes to know that William being his best friend, he comes to
Hmm.
know that this guy is invincible.
Yeah, it was a bit stupid though when Atom Eve's face is not even covered and no one realizes she's Atom Eve, and Mark's face is just seen a little bit by William, and he realizes, oh, you're Mark.
But that's sort of like a, what do you call it? If in the cafe scene towards the end, right? Even then, they don't realize that. Even when she
Yeah,
says that I'm Atom
yeah,
Eve, they're like,
yeah.
who? They don't actually
Huh.
think, they don't know who Atom Eve is.
Hmm.
She's not there in the news.
Maybe.
If you go to see,
Maybe.
she's only there for that one fight with this thing, and that's it.
Hmm.
In fact, even so you have Guardians of the Globe, which is basically a ripoff of Justice League, and then
Justice
you
League.
have what
Team,
Team
Yeah,
team,
just Teen
team.
Titans. Teen
Teen Titans.
Titans.
Teen Titans, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she becomes a love interest for this guy later on
Mhm.
in the show, in the comics. It's a long way off,
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure
which is
it'll
kind
be
of obvious.
long later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
very obvious.
yeah.
Chemistry was there.
Maybe that's why they didn't make Amber into a likable character.
But I think what they're doing is a mistake. You know why? Because she's not, in the comic she's a white character. In the cartoon they
Uh,
made her like a colored this thing. So like she's I think she's African American. So now the flack that they will receive is that they made the black the African American character redundant, because after a while this guy breaks up with Amber anyways.
no, but then the thing is, the that character was anyway a strong character. It's not as if she's a weak person or something, right? So
Yeah,
it's
but
fine.
then it's basically like who's the girl in Friends, which Charlie.
Charlie.
Technically, she's a strong character. She's a good. She's smart. She's intelligent and
Yeah,
all that crap. But
she
then
makes a her breakup was so stupid.
exactly. So from for no
Yeah.
reason, she just disappears off the show. Now this guy also same thing. Once he finishes the fight with Omni Man and comes back, and then all of a sudden she comes and she hugs him and then she's, oh, it seems I wasn't the only person being lied to. Number
Hmm.
one, that's a very shitty thing to say
Hmm.
after your
Hmm.
boyfriend gets a beat down. Again,
Hmm.
ex-boyfriend. And then when
Hmm.
he's saying, oh, does this mean are we getting back together? She's like, yeah, if you
Hmm.
want to. Like, bro, even that also you're not clear as to what you want.
Yeah.
So that
Was
and so she as a character, so for me, that's why I said it was a risk for them to make her an African American. They could have literally made anybody else who was going to stay on the show.
Black Samson.
But actually, the thing is, I still don't know what Black Samson's power is.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I got my powers
Electricity.
back, but what's his power?
Electricity,
Electricity.
that is static. That's static. Black static.
Hmm.
Black static? No, static.
They're just making up stuff, I feel.
You have static, then you have black lightning. Sorry.
Black lightning.
Yeah, that's from DC. Both are from DC. But this guy's power is actually water. I don't. They try to resuscitate him, and then all of a sudden his power comes back. Okay, but what's your power, bro? Which scene hurt you the most?
Hurt me. Yeah.
The hurt me was a train scene. That was a very
Oh
gruesome
yeah.
scene.
It's a gruesome shot. Gruesome shot it was.
Yeah.
So it seems apparently in the comics that was not the scene.
Mm.
I mean, you don't
Yeah.
see that as it is that gruesome. But you just see this guy beating her, but that's it. But not to the extent which they showed over here. I mean, like you see the guts and gore just keep flying around, whizzing past him.
Hmm.
So, did you think that it is actually Mark killing those people?
You can't say
Yes,
this.
because his arms were flailing and he was actually killing
Mhm.
those people. If he had stayed still, he could have killed lesser people, but that's up for debate, I guess.
Yeah, you know whose logic is that? That's Sheldon's logic. Sheldon Cooper in Big Bang Theory, he has the same logic when he says that Superman could not have caught Lois Lane when he's flying and she's falling. He couldn't catch her because he's a man of steel.
Yeah. Yeah.
The man of steel flying at that speed and she's using gravity and falling down. You're basically you're going to
We're going to cut
slice
her
her.
through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
The three
that's
pieces. Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what happened over here also. Like you're having a train coming at full speed, and then you have like a person who's basically steel, putting his hand on and waving. So you're basically making your hands into blades now.
But
What could he have done in that situation? Because Nolan, when he's training him, tells him that you are in control. Like you should think where you want to go, and your body will move. Could he have not moved from that place? Is That
He's
was the
being
thing.
held by him. No,
He's
he's
been
being
held
held by
now.
no. Yeah.
I understand, but I mean, like, he's strong enough. He could have maybe like moved a bit. I don't know,
No,
above the
because
train.
no, because if you see later on in that same scene itself, once they go back up in the air, he's like Nolan is still holding on to this guy. So it took him like he had to like under from under his grasp, he had to go all the way back and then move. So he had to have that amount of space to get free. Whereas in this particular scene, how it is, he's limited to the space. He's restricted in terms of spatial surrounding as well as
Mhm.
he's like beaten to like he's like down to the ground, beaten into the tracks, and then he's being held up. So there's the very shock and the fear of the fact that he's going to get hit by a train, which is anyone's fear for the matter, and he doesn't know. As a guy, you know for a fact that your first reflex is to put your hands out front, which is basically what as a human that's what he did.
Yeah.
Nolan's reflex is basically just standing there because he knows nothing's going to hit him, which shows the human side of Invincible or Mark when he's using his hands to like block if anything comes to his face. That moment is killing people at the same time, which is also what we see in the initial part of it when he tries to help that old lady. The old lady, the
Hmm.
first that was kind of sad.
That is also, yeah. Yeah.
If you go to see any of the saves that this guy does, right, what Mark does, I feel sad for him
Mm.
because they all
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. No one is saved survived.
No one he saves has survived.
Mm.
You have
Oh,
the old lady.
they killed off the old lady off screen. They just told you like she's been shifted to another
No, she
hospital.
died. No, she died. She died.
Mm.
That's all.
I think it was on screen also. But then he went there and no, yeah, right. You're right. I think they killed her off screen.
Yeah, because they tell like they went to a different hospital and are not allowed to disclose where they went or something like that.
So I guess around the time. And then you have the pilot who ejects out of the thing. Like, oh, finally you just saved at least you
Oh
didn't
yeah,
die
that
the
was
entire
so
mess.
ironic.
Hmm.
So
He saves
ironic.
him and then yeah.
Saving the entire mess, and all of a sudden that this guy comes and just
Yeah.
okay, how the gore was that, and then and the last obviously the saddest part for me was in the building. Like the two people he can save in the entire building, he goes and
Yeah.
tries to save, and all that he's left with is a severed arm.
Yeah.
I know.
Uh,
That whole last episode itself was very sad.
yeah, but like that also puts into perspective. So I was watching like one in those reaction videos, right? So there's one particular comic channel that so I follow a lot when it comes to these comic related shows and movies and stuff. So the trailers. So when they were watching it, they had something which they said was very funny, which was this is basically the Superman versus Zord fight in
Right.
Man of Steel.
Hmm.
So then this kind of puts into perspective as to how many people these two have actually killed during that fight, which then gives, which makes Bruce Wayne's motivation to fight Superman sensible. In terms of gore, do you rate this as gory as the boys, or how is it?
I think they took it a step further because they needed more special effects to do the same thing in the boys, right? So they had like far
Yeah.
few scenes where they could do that, but in animation it's a bit easier to.
It was easier in animation, no? So then I think it was far more gory also. Like if they make a Invincible's TV series, meaning of a live action one, it wouldn't be so easy to make that. The train scene, for example,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be easy to make a scene like that.
Wait, so now that you brought that up, so like, do you think a live action would work after this animated version?
No, after the animated version, I don't think so. To be honest, because maybe a movie could work,
Hmm.
but not a TV series.
No, you need for a movie. It cannot be like a standalone. It might need to
No,
be
no,
in
it'll need
conjunction
sequels.
to the.
It'll
Yeah.
need sequels. I'm not saying it'll be one movie telling the whole story. It'll have to have sequels. But even then, it can't be like a 1.5 hour long movie. It should be like a 2.5 to 3 hour movie, a proper
Or a
movie.
4 hour Snyder cut.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But do you think that they'll go for a live action?
It it is a possibility, but I think it's a bit meaning if they have to do it, they might have to do it after maybe 5 years or something, 5 to 10 years, because already
Did-
the no, because the animated series is already here. Why would you make it now?
Won't it be more
Well,
expensive to make a
it could.
lot more budget wise?
That's why I'm saying a movie, not a TV series, because the TV series wouldn't justify the budgetary needs of this show.
Yeah, because if you see the budget version of Flash and
Hmm.
the effects that they've used in the TV show and the effects that they use in the movie, it makes a
Hmm.
huge difference in terms of
Yeah.
budget. And not only that, now actually the thing is in the TV series, the second season and third season has been already confirmed that they're going ahead with
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. Three
that being
seasons.
Yeah,
yeah, so
they've been
that being
confirmed. Yeah.
said, in at least the next 3 years, so they can't come out with it. And after the 3 years, if they immediately they're going to come out with a movie, then that sort of like not movie, a TV series also that sort of like negates this entire thing because you
Yeah.
can't have Justice League TV series and then after they immediately have Justice League,
Hmm.
Justice League cartoon series and then immediately after you have a TV series live action one because then it becomes too easy to compare. That's what happened with
Exactly.
Flash also.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I didn't even Flash. I prefer the Grant Gustin Flash than the Ezra Miller one. I
Yeah,
find him a better Flash.
that's the thing. So that because of the fact that you have a TV series immediately after, they can you have a movie
Hmm.
immediately after. You have two
Hmm.
different actors portraying the same character by the way.
Hmm.
So when I haven't seen the episode, but there's an episode in where Ezra Miller meets Grant Gustin.
Yeah. I've seen the
Okay.
clip. I'm not. I've stopped seeing Flash actually, so I also not sure how it is.
Yeah, so you have two actors who are playing the same character in the same universe. It makes no
Hmm.
sense. And everybody who, when the moment they heard Ezra Miller was, that opted to play for the role of Barry Allen, people like
Hmm.
Gary Gustin has, am I saying his name correctly?
Yeah, Gary
Grant,
Gershon. Grant Gershon. Grant
Grant,
Gershon.
Grant
Grant.
Gustin. I'm sorry, Grant Gustin. He plays a better
Hmm.
this thing. So just rope him
Hmm.
into for this thing. Even when it comes to Oliver Queen, also they didn't want anyone else
Hmm.
apart from this guy to play his
Hmm.
role,
Stephen Amell.
Stephen Amell.
Hmm.
So that, yeah, I think they would face the same problem here, especially because of the voice actors. Because the
No,
voice
but
actors,
Stephen Amell is doing the voice acting for Green Arrow in I think it was in DC versus
he,
Mortal Kombat. No,
no, they had
Injustice.
a DC
No,
animated shorts they had. So in that he voiced
uh, no, even in a game he has done the voice. I think it was Injustice.
Injustice
I'm not
maybe.
100%. Maybe Injustice too. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah. But see, again, now you're saying, I know where you're going to. You're saying you want the voice actors to do the live action part of the show.
No, I'm saying most of the people because the voice actor of Incredibles is an Asian American who is young.
Hmm.
So basically,
Hmm.
he may be able to play the role.
Yeah, he can, but if you've seen the guy, he doesn't look like a 17-year-old. He can do
True.
the voice, yes, but he can't play the role of a 17-year-old. He doesn't look like it. Same thing with J.K. Simmons, who's playing Omni Man. He has an amazing voice, but he doesn't look like Omni Man.
No, I mean he could look because if you see him in those later movies, like you have that which is the movie with one where they're playing drums, Whiplash.
A
Okay,
Whiplash.
that's good.
In that he's actually like buff. I would say built, but he looks like he can take care of himself. That
But
kind of thing.
he's 60 something years old now, so I don't think he's gonna go into building body.
I
No,
would.
which is actually what
So,
this guy is. Omni Man is on the older side. Like he's years, decades old, centuries old actually.
but so two pictures I've seen, two fan images I've seen for Omni Man. One
Nick Hoffman.
is Nick Hoffman is the funny one, which was the one I was going to bring second. But the first one I was going to bring up was Henry Cavill,
Hmm.
which would do a good role. Meaning he doesn't look very young, he doesn't look very old, but it is believable that he is the father of a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So, or even Ben Affleck to for an extent could do this role.
But they need to cast someone who's not already been in a superhero movie, right? Probably it'll have a better effect.
Can't say that because you have Chris Evans who was
Yeah,
A very weird
Johnny
theory,
Storm.
not very, a very weird casting choice. What about Negan? I forgot his actual name.
Oh,
He can pull off
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey
Yeah,
Morgan.
he could pull off that psycho.
he could do it.
kind. Yeah.
No, I mean he was actually supposed to play Batman. I mean the
Mm.
Earth 2, I think, as in Thomas
Mhm.
Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father.
Uh-huh.
See, he was supposed to be playing Batman, the Thomas Wayne version of it, but yeah, he would actually play. Even the guy who, what's his name? He played Glenn Talbot in this thing, in Agents of Shield, and he voices Tony Stark in the Avengers series, the comics, the cartoon.
Mm.
He looks a lot similar to this one,
Mhm.
Omni Man.
Yeah, and he carries that mustache very well too. Like all these
Yeah,
Viltrumites
Mm.
have like, a mustache,
Mm.
no beard,
Mm.
so he would be
Muche
able
ho
to do
to
it.
Viltrumite JC. So if you have to go that way, then would you put who would you put as the Amber role?
now that's a question because comics they've chosen a white American to play the role, and in the
Mm.
in the cartoon they've used the animation they've used a black American, African American. So now the question is which way are we leaning to? Are we leaning towards the African American version, or are we leaning towards the white American version, whatever you call it?
Since we haven't seen the read the comics, I think we'll go with what the TV series has.
We don't know any young 17-year-old actresses who are listening, right?
The only one that is coming into mind is Zendaya.
Zendaya is not 17.
Yeah, I mean
She's well
she
into her
looks the
20
role.
30s.
something now, 20
Yeah,
something.
but she looks into the role. She looks that young.
Yeah, but then she would typecast, I think, because like she's
Yeah.
again this thing. So I don't think she would be there. You would have to pick someone who is not that well established, I think, because
Mm.
one is not that strong a role. I mean, yes, the character is
Mm.
strong, but it's a character that won't last for long in an
Mm.
industry. I mean, in that particular show or the series, unless you're going to drag it along. So from
But
that
for
perspective,
Atom Eve, I think a good character would be Daisy Ridley, the Star Wars Ray Skywalker.
really,
Yeah, she could do it. She has that. She has that.
there's there's
Hmm.
one actress actually. She There are two actresses. Both of them are on the same TV show called Teen Wolf, which if
Okay.
you ever get a chance to watch because it's very funny.
Hmm.
So in that,
Hmm.
what's her name? Allison. There's one girl. She is a very strong character in that. Okay,
Hmm.
so she could. I mean, Allison's the character's name. I forgot what her actual name. Her name is. And then you have her friend and the. Why do how can I forget her name? Anyway, so then this other girl with like red hair,
Hmm.
strawberry blonde. What they the
Lydia,
guy called her.
Lydia.
Hmm.
Lydia also could play the role of this thing because she's also very sort of a strong kind of a character, and she
Hmm.
becomes actually the main character towards the end of the series. So those two could play, and I think that would be a good thing. Role. And if it's a starting pitch that they want, then I think Allison could play Amber. I mean, she's a white girl,
And
so
what about the mother's role? I think Sandra Oh could do that role easily.
she's pulling it off amazing. And
Yeah.
since I watched Grey's Anatomy religiously, she has played amazing role in terms of falling into depression and being the funny character and being the whole
Hmm.
motherly kind of a thing. She pulls it off very well. And even she's then
Hmm.
in a series called Killing Eve.
Killing Eve. Yeah.
I haven't seen it entirely, but then from Grey's Anatomy, I can tell you she's an amazing actor. Z, who do you think?
I don't know. I honestly don't know who to play. Um, Sandra Oh has done a good job, so I don't think they would need like another replacement for that. But I guess the whole point is replacing characters altogether.
It's
Right.
not necessarily you have to replace them. I mean, it's just that if they don't meet that physical like appearance side of the thing, then like have you guys seen Archer?
Yeah.
The
Oh, Archer,
Archer.
yeah.
Yeah. So in Archer, you have seen how the character looks.
Hmm.
But if you have seen the voice actor, he's nothing like that. He looks exactly like Homer Simpson, the guy in real
Oh,
life. And John Benjamin looks like Homer Simpson, but he can't play the role of Archer, even though his voice is you hear Archer, you hear his voice, you know who
you
the
don't
person
match.
is. Yeah, but for that, you put an actor like I think uh, I forgot his name. Wait, who's the guy in Mad Men?
John
Uh,
Hamm.
yeah, John Hamm. So John Hamm, they saying could play Archer very well, which is correct because he looks like Archer.
Hmm.
But that's the thing, right? You can't. Sometimes the voice actors don't match how they look in real life to the character.
Which, according to you,
Uh,
was the most craziest story arc that you saw in the series?
Craziest story arc.
Hmm.
mm,
I wish I had not watched the video about actual Viltrumites, the intentions behind each Viltrumite, because that effect would have been more drastic. Like, because he's Nolan is up to no good, but then it would make more sense, like why he killed off the Guardians of the Globe, and I think it would have been a more dramatic effect for me. Like, it would have been had more shock value versus what I had, because I had a rough idea of what the story is and where it is going.
So you already watched that video and then you watched the TV series.
I I watched the video literally 24 hours before watching the last episode. Otherwise, I would not have known. So that's the issue there.
for me, my favorite arc was the final one. That was pretty good. But the one which I didn't like was the college one, which we discussed earlier, which was
The
like pretty
reanimate.
stupid. Yeah, the reanimated one.
For me, I like the whole robot getting a new body. That arc. That was I like that
Hmm.
one. And
I like the twins. The twins, the
yeah,
clones were
but
good.
I was coming to that really. The way that
Hmm.
they are, that they don't know who's the real one, who's the
Yeah.
fake one. That one, that
Hmm.
running gag of theirs is funny. I like that.
Hmm.
The chemistry between those people. But
Hmm.
in terms of one character that actually I liked in terms of the arc is Atomies, because she knows actually how powerful she is the moment she gets out of the house and out of the teams and everything. So
Hmm.
she's not actually a part of the team.
Hmm.
She's
Yeah, she never joined the team.
She was, but then she left.
Yeah, she was not a part of the Guardians of the Globe, right?
Yeah.
She
She
was.
was. She was. She was.
No,
No, she was not.
she
She
was
was
not.
asked, but she walks away. Oh
She
no!
walks away.
She
No,
was.
no, no,
was a
no.
part
She
of-
was
After,
part. She was
she
part.
was a part.
After.
After the affair happened, then she moves out.
Yeah.
So she's on her own and everything. So then when she the why I like the arc was because when she understands that she as I forgot what her actual name is, but then as a human, the side of us, the
Hmm.
non-atomy side, when she is in her civilian form, she is able to help the homeless, giving them food and stuff like that. And then when she realizes that she doesn't have to be a part of a team to help people, and she doesn't necessarily have to be Atom Eve to help people, and then she goes out and strikes on her own.
Hmm.
So that entire arc of hers has to how she liberates herself from her home and then from her teams and friends, and then she strikes on her own, and then she realizes that she's strong enough and she's powerful enough to handle everything on her own, and she can survive on her own. Which, in fact, actually, as per the comics, she's not completely human.
Hmm.
She's been designed by some scientist for being the perfect killing weapon or human weapon or whatever.
Fake killing weapon.
So I like her arc. So that
I mean, so I just did a little bit of a checking. So I found out that the comics are completed. It got completed, I think, a couple of years back.
Hmm.
So if possible, we could actually read the comics and find out the whole story. But would you do that, or would you wait for the TV series to see how it goes?
I would. I mean, if I had access to the comics, I would definitely read it.
I think it's there on Amazon to buy the comics, and I think you can always find some website which will be letting you read the comics. There are sites like that.
They have, yeah.
Yeah. So again, would you read them or would you wait for the TV series?
I read them.
Yeah, I would.
Not
read it.
because of that I can't wait for the TV series, but because of the fact that, like, see, if you see the Justice League or any of the DC or the Marvel cartoons and the shows and stuff, they have taken the liberty when it comes to the stories from the comics. Like,
Yeah.
Infinity War itself has a very different story as to what it
Oh, it's
actually
a completely different.
is.
Civil War itself.
Yeah,
Civil War is a
itself.
very different ending.
Forget ending, the entire story itself is completely different.
Yeah.
Right, so then your Age of Ultron itself is completely the ones who created the Ultron is who the ones who created Ultron itself are not shown in the movie. You're seeing as Iron Man, but actually it's not Iron Man. It's Hank Pym. So that entire storyline different. Your Batman vs Superman, that storyline is completely different. Batman vs Superman, if you want to see the actual storyline, you have to see one episode of
Of
Superman.
Superman. No, Batman v Superman is based on the Dark Knight Rises, right? Dark Knight Returns, sorry.
Dark Knight Returns, yeah, frankly, Dark Knight Returns, but the way that they've the idea behind us to they don't know each other and then they're finding out about each other
Ah,
for the
okay.
first time and then fighting out. So there's one episode in the animated adventures of Superman or something like that. So wherein Bruce Wayne and Clark end up both on the same speedboat and then on the same cruise and then they get into this whole fight and everything. So that is sort of like the basis of the entire thing, and then you get into the whole dark version of being Frank Miller Superman, Batman, Dark Knight, the Rises, Returns. Sorry. So that. So yes, I would write the comics first and then get into it because you get a better understanding what Z said. You have an understanding as to what the entire thing is all about, the why, the motivation and everything, and that kind of gives you that kind of edge over other people. Like you would rather you would read Harry Potter and then watch the movies as opposed to watching the movies and then reading Harry Potter because then that it
Hmm.
loses the lust if you're going to watch it first and then read it.
Yeah.
So then, because if like today, if I'm going to start reading Invincible now, I've
Hmm.
lost this particular volume because now everything's spoiled for me already.
Hmm.
Whereas if I'm going to read the comics first and then watch it, I don't know what creative, freedom these guys are going to take.
Hmm.
The directors, so they could go potentially in any direction that they want from this one point of origin in the comics. Like the arc with
Hmm.
Alan Alien also the same thing. You don't know from
Hmm.
here where they're going to go.
So for me, I usually what I do is now if suppose I've not read the source material, so once I'm finished with the TV show or something, I usually go online and just see what is the difference between the source material and the TV series, and then I would make a judgment. Maybe they did it right this way, or why they must have gone through that process. Yeah. So based on the differences, like now, suppose I remember in one comic there was some again which you said about we discussed off air about the Mask comic series
Mm-hmm.
that he is killing babies or there are Nazis and all that. Obviously, you can't put that in a movie.
Right.
But so those scenes you can understand why it's not there. But then there are some scenes where where you know that the source material is just too good, which they could have used it, but they don't do it, and you'd be like, why didn't they use this? So I prefer to read that way and see it because now if you ask me if I'm going to read the comics or wait for the series, I'll mostly be waiting for the series because I don't think I have that patience like what I used to have before of
Mm.
sitting and reading the comics.
Okay, so this is a shout out for those people who don't like to, or rather who like. If I would come under the same category now because I don't have time
Mhm.
for it. But as a shout out for those who don't have the time to sit and read comics, there's a YouTube channel
Mhm.
called as Comic Storia. So
Mhm.
what he does is it's a YouTube channel. So what he does is basically he reads the comics out and he's up to date. So when he's reading it out dramatically. So like if there's this like for example there's a fight between Omni Man and Invincible, so he uses his Omni Man voice like wow, what have you done? And then he shifts his tone of voice. So it sounds fun when you're driving and listening to it.
So is
That's
he
why I
like
stay up to it.
dishum dishum?
He doesn't say dishum, but he voices out the dialogue, and then after he says, "Oh," and then while punching, while scraping, or while not scraping, let's say while Mark's teeth fall out of his mouth, Omni Man reminisces as to what the baseball thing is, and then he
Mhm.
explains the entire baseball thing as a panel by panel.
Mhm.
So for me, I listen to comic story a lot because of the way there are
Mhm.
like mini episodes, like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and then he compiles the entire thing together to become like 3 hours, 15 minutes episodes. So if you have a long drive and it's worth it. So I've heard the entirety of Batman: The Coat of Owls, the Battle for the Cape, for the Cowl, all
Mhm.
these different things. So he's covered Marvel, he's covered Bloodshot, he's covered Bloodshot also is of the same publishing house as Invincible. He's covered a lot of these comics on Comic Story. So then I put a playlist on and just keep driving after that.
Let me see if he has for Invincible. Maybe I'll hear that.
He should be having, I think, because once they
Hmm.
announced that they'll be coming up with the Invincible thing, I think he released some videos after that.
Okay, so that was our episode for What's for Today, where we discussed Invincible, the TV series, and all of us are interested in actually reading the comics, so we might actually give that a chance. Let's see how much it deviates from the actual show when seasons 2 and 3 come up. Um, yeah, like I'm looking forward to the next season, and hopefully Amazon comes up with a couple of more good shows like the same. Um, since we did not have our friend Nitin in today's call, yeah, the myth, the urban myth, Mr. Nitin Unni. I just wanted to plug in his YouTube channel, Nith Nation.
With the
Sounds
space or without
exact,
space?
whichever you want to subscribe to. Without space is the one that our friend runs, and the one with the space is I
The
don't know.
one your friend would love to run.
I would love, yeah, I would love someone to run that actual show, like that YouTube channel. So yeah, just go on YouTube, search for Nith Nation. That's NITHNATION. I forgot how to spell it too. Yeah, and other than that, from all of us, we wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
It was recorded in December. We saw this episode. We saw the episodes in advance.
We were the mock audience. No, please be careful. The number of COVID cases are rising sharply in India. The healthcare system is in very dire situation. So please take all precautions as much as you can. And yeah, take good care of yourself. And with that, this is Zishan, Sean, and Rishi signing off from Watch for Today.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Right.
See you next week.
Yes. This thing is distracting, dude.
What is that?
Some measuring scale. I'm just playing around with it. It's like a butterfly knife.
What are you trying to measure?